What is up, guys? So today is actually a pretty bittersweet day for me. My flight back to New York from Chicago is in literally a couple hours, but I thought this morning I'd quickly sit down and kind of talk about my whole summer and all the things I learned juggling an internship that's literally top 500 in the world, and then also hitting 1.8K days at the peak and multiple other 1K days. So I'm just gonna pop up that proof right now. But I implore you guys to actually listen to my story from start to finish rather than making these assumptions based on the screenshots or anything else like be very easily faked. Like this view, for example, I'm actually in the #1 best amenity building in all Chicago, guys. It's called NEMA if you want to look it up. There's pools, jacuzzis, saunas, steam rooms, gym. It's basically like a giant Equinox. It's actually so sick and I love it here, but I'm moving out unfortunately. But this is the goal, right? And like, again, this could also be so easily faked. And I actually begging you, I'm imploring you to actually listen to the story from start to finish rather than make these assumptions, because I guarantee you're gonna learn so much more from that rather than me just popping up numbers and talking about how much money I make. Like, actually listen to the story and how can you start? How can you implement it into your life, right? Like, we all want this, but how do you actually start? And I'm gonna give you guys from A to Z how I did it, literally just replicate it. And for me, like, the biggest motivation was literally watching these types of videos of other people doing it, knowing that I could do it. Because a lot of these guys are like clearly capping. You'll see them with the Lambos I mentioned, and like you just know they're lying. But like regular kids like you and I with this view, and like a year ago you look back on their channel and they're like grinding their shitty ass, grimy ass dorm. It's just so motivational. And guys, I don't get anything from these videos. I don't have a mentorship. I don't have a course to sell you, nothing. I just genuinely want you to win. I genuinely want you to win. That's the whole reason I'm sitting down on this chair recording when I should be packing for my flight, is because I still have this view. I still have the time to recap. I still have the memories. So again, please just like listen from A to Z and actually start. Don't just watch this and get motivated and quit. Actually start and grind for a year straight. And going into that, just for some context, this has been over a year in the making. So I don't know if you guys look back on my previous videos, but in the summer, I was grinding with like a little shell box last summer, grinding that. Then in fall, I was in my dorm, grinding like the spicy Jenga, and I kind of ran it up, but it unfortunately got banned. And then after that, I kept testing products. I probably tested 10 products that fall, all flopped. I was like hitting up all the dropshippers in the space, being like, yo, can you like take a look at this stuff? Like, this is so garbage, dude. Like, you need to keep working. And obviously I kept working. And that's the thing, is you can't give up. Then I kept going in January. I kept recording. I was like doing the Fortnite like customized frames as an example, but I tested so many products, guys. And then in spring, I was actually studying abroad in Madrid. So a once in a lifetime experience. Unfortunately though, dropshipping went on the back burner because I was exploring all these awesome countries, guys. Like, there has to be a work-life balance. Like, I hate all these guys who are all work. Like, you actually have to enjoy your life as well. If you're just working for all this money, what's the point of not enjoying it? But not to say I was making any money back then, but in spring, I was like half grinding, where I was still like putting in a solid amount of work, like most work than anyone puts in when they say they're actually grinding. But of course I was going to a new country every weekend, which I'm like so grateful for. It was an awesome experience. But that time flew by. So I've been grinding for what, 9 months at this point? And then I got my internship offer back in fall, but it started in July. So it's July to late August. So I got back from my study abroad in June. So from June to July, I had a whole month to grind. And that's, guys, when it finally clicked for me. And basically I went monk mode. Like, I hate to say it, but you do have to kind of give up the work-life balance as you're making it. But once you make it, and before, like, you know, you could fuck around a little bit. But for that 1 month, guys, I went monk mode. I woke up at like 8 a.m. and I grinded to 10 p.m. All like, I felt so bad. Like, all my friends were hitting me up for plans. I literally flaked on all of them. I'm like, sorry guys, like, I really need to make this work. But guys, just like once you've been grinding for that long, like, you're so hungry. I was actually obsessed with it. I was grinding nonstop monk mode. And then of course, like, I finally hit it. Like, all these stories are the same, guys. You grind for literally a year straight and then you hit it. It's a year of constant failure and then you hit it. It's just like, it's so motivating and demotivating at the same time that you have to fail for a year straight where like everyone's clowning you, like 200 view videos, and then out of nowhere, you know, you're hitting mil. And then you're hitting these 1K days at dinner with your boys, you know, like you're drinking margaritas and you made more than your friends in investment banking did this whole week, just in one day. It's actually so motivational. So long story short, that was a little recap, but essentially after that, in July, my internship started, which was 10 weeks at this prestigious company. So obviously you have to be working hard. And guys, let me just say, recap it real quick. You don't have to hear every little detail, but it was pretty brutal. Like, I won't lie, like my internship, like very focused on work-life balance, but even then was still pretty tough. So I'd be waking up at 7, going to my internship, getting there at 8:30, then grinding the whole day, then kind of leaving 5:30, get home 6:30, cook dinner 7:30, eat dinner, and then go to the gym. It's already 8:30 and I haven't even opened my laptop once to work on the business. And then when I finally do open my laptop, I'm not worried about how can I post more videos to go more viral, like how can I reach out to influencers, like start affiliate, like these high leverage activities like SMS, Klaviyo email, like how can I actually grow the business? I'm worried about the chargebacks, the pending chargebacks in my Shopify dashboard. The hundreds of emails I get of like these crazy customers with the most niche problems that takes like an hour to fix. Like, I don't know, Kathy, why the post office sent it back. And I have to like go to my supplier, like get a replacement because one of the products is broken, like all these things that I had to do. And I didn't realize this, but when you're doing a 9 to 5 and then you have the business on the side, I always when I was doing the business, this is so obvious to me now, but when you're actually doing it, when you have the business, you're growing and putting out fires at the same time. You're not really thinking which one takes priority. You just do both in the same day because you have time for both. But when you have a 9 to 5 and you have a limited amount of time, you have to put out the fires before you grow the business, right? Like if I just continue growing the business, I'd have thousands of orders every day, but I would also have thousands of chargebacks, thousands of like pending lawsuits and all this. Like my SSM would be permanently blacklisted from Shopify and it just wouldn't be good. So you have to put out the fires before you can grow. So if you only have 2 hours in the day, all you're doing is putting out fires. You're not actually growing the business. And then if you don't have a lot of fires to put out, you're growing the business until the amount of fires put out reaches a certain point where you can no longer grow the business. So this summer is actually so valuable to me because while doing the 9 to 5 and doing entrepreneurship, I learned like what are the highest leverage activities, right? Like obviously growing the business is more high leverage than answering emails because those don't generate revenue. So that's when I finally hired a VA because that's what no one talks about, because a lot of the dropshippers in the space, they do dropshipping full time. They don't have a 9 to 5 on the side that they're kind of working with at the same time, so they could just do both, just how I was doing. But then having this 9 to 5 taught me so much that you need to have a VA to handle, this lower leverage stuff, so then you can actually focus on the high leverage stuff. And then even going to when I will be a dropshipper full time, this taught me so much that you need a VA so you could work so much less and achieve the same amount of results, right? Like I keep seeing this on Reels and it's so true that if hard work was all that mattered, the donkey would own the farm. You actually have to be strategic and how you spend your time, because the goal isn't to work, 12-hour days every day, Monday, Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday too, because of course we're business owners, like we don't get days off. The goal isn't that. The goal is to have systems in place so you can only work 4 hours, because realistically, like you only get so much deep work done in a day. So you just grind those 4 hours and then you have the rest of the day to, go to the beach and enjoy, go explore the city and enjoy, go hang out with your boys and enjoy. Like that's always been the goal. So my biggest takeaway from that is create systems, right? Like hire a VA. How can you cut out as much time as possible without sacrificing too much quality? Also, I'm planning on hiring creators as well, because I realized I could just outsource that. Like I just be managing people and spend so much less time, but make so much more money. But of course, this is like future stuff, guys, right? Like you just need to get to this point where you're making those 1K days. So for that point, you can't really outsource. You have to actually put in the work. But going to the future, like I really wish I made that switch sooner rather than waiting to make that switch and getting really burnt out. So it's low-key just something you have to do yourself, but again, make that switch sooner than I did and be ready to make that switch. Because for the VA, I had to interview over 200 people and it took a lot of time. It's not just you hire someone and they get to working right away. You have to hire them, you have to like train them, you have to make sure that they're a right fit for you, right? So in case you have to unfortunately fire them or something like that, it's a really big step. It's a really big process, right? And you also need to learn like what are SOPs. Like I honestly didn't know that. My boy who's in sales had to teach me what are SOPs, like how do I actually manage people, because I'm a really good dropshipper, guys. Like I make really good content in terms of like TikTok grabbing, your little attention span. But in terms of a manager, I suck. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't have any experience managing people. So it's just way, way harder. And now it's a whole nother skill set that I have to build up. But it's the next skill set that I wanna build because it's so much higher leverage. But yeah, so that's the first takeaway. Another takeaway is how much the corporate job and the business helped me and how much the business helped me for the corporate job. So even if you don't wanna be an entrepreneur or you really do wanna be an entrepreneur, they low-key help a lot. Not to say the learning didn't taper off after like a couple weeks, But for the first couple weeks, I learned so much from the corporate job, and I incorporated so much of it into my business, you know, like using GCal, like to schedule times, using Slack, like all these systems that these businesses have in place to make communication and managing incredibly easy. And then actually going into my internship, I had so much experience from like Python, you know, emails, like marketing. Like I was telling the marketing intern things that they didn't even know were a possibility, and you know, helping them on their projects. But on my project itself, I created this insane Python scripts from like previous knowledge I had. I went nitty gritty into like all these ecom little pieces that I had that like helped the business so much, and my final presentation looked so good because I had that prior knowledge that I implemented to the business. So the growth was just so insane in terms of both the business and the internship. So they kind of go hand in hand where they both help you succeed. And like another piece of advice I have, guys, is as you can see, really cherish. If you're in school, you know, you're in between jobs, you have so much time. Please do not wait until you have that 9 to 5, because it is so incredibly hard to give it 100% at your 9 to 5 and also have this business on the side. Like you will not have time or energy. Trust me, I was doing it. And thankfully on the weekends, I actually had someone visit me every single weekend I was here. So I'm so grateful. So thank you guys for all the support. But you know, it was really tough because you'd be grinding so hard during the week. The weekend, you'd want to just relax, like the classic 9 to 5 life. So I really want to emphasize how nice it is to be at school or between jobs, because you have so much free time. And that's why I'm so excited for this next upcoming year, because I'm back in school. So I'm gonna have so much more time, and I'm gonna be so much more appreciative of this time to actually like get to my business to the very, very next level, because I have this time back. Because when you have a 9 to 5, of course it's possible, it's definitely possible, but it's just so much harder. You're gonna be so burnt out, and it's just really tough because you're using your brain at work, then you come home and you have like 2 hours left and you're just putting out fires. So you have to create these systems in place, which is why it's so good, because now I have these systems in place and I'm going back to having all this free time. So it's actually just gonna be so easy for me. But again, really emphasizing, start today, guys. You will never have this much free time again. And even if you're in a 9 to 5, start today, because it's gonna take you so much longer. Instead of a year, it's probably gonna take you 3 years. But you're still gonna succeed in the end, but you just have so much less hours per day that you really have to make sure that those hours are spent really, really well. Well, that's gonna be it for me today, guys. That was a bit more of a rant rather than actual constructive like video, but you know, something's better than nothing. And that again is another lesson for you guys that, you know, just put in a little effort every day, and of course you'll see success over the longer term. But hopefully that was really helpful. So just to summarize, create systems in place so your hours go way further. You know, like hire a VA, cut out work that you don't actually need to be doing. And then look into creators, look into automations. Next, start now rather than starting later. Like you'll never have more time than you do today, especially if you're a student or you're in between jobs. And last but not least, like you could kind of see throughout my whole journey, like I still work really, really hard, but I still have a ton of fun. Like, of course, right before I hit my success, I'm in monk mode, and I'm probably gonna go into another monk mode like this fall where I'm gonna be grinding super hard. But that's not the goal, right? The goal is you have these little sessions of monk mode where you're working really hard, but in the end, you still wanna have that work-life balance and enjoy time with your family, you know, like enjoy sick views like this. Like that's what you're actually working towards. So don't forget to have a little fun. You can't always be grinding all the time, but for most of you, I bet the issue is too much fun and not enough work. So just something to chew on. But yeah, also if you're curious about what actually happened to the business, essentially I'm gonna try to revive it. You guys will hopefully see a video about that. If not, I'll just go to a new one. I'm not too attached to it. And what's kind of cool is that it still gave me like a solid like $100 a day after posting literally nothing and just putting out fires. So kind of passive income, but obviously you still have to work. But it just shows that if you put in the hours, it's gonna work.